Hello learners, this is Habeeba with Excelwithme. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Let's start today's class. That is, we were discussing about the research methodology paper. Earlier we have done descriptive statistics, scales of measurement topic. Today we are going to do the tabulation, organization and graphical representation of quantitative data. Let's start with first tabulation. Tabulation is the process of insertion of classified data into tabular form. Whatever data we have collected from the samples, that we will process things and all. A table is a symmetric arrangement of statistical data in rows and columns. Obviously, when we are doing any calculations, we take the help of the table. So we take the columns and rows to arrange those data. Now rows are horizontal arrangements, whereas columns are vertical arrangements. It may be simple, double or complex depending upon the type of classification used for various purposes at any given time by an individual, obviously. Now what are tables? Tables are an important aspect of any research report or thesis. Without tables, we won't be able to present our data and results and inferences. Any table will have some key components that are discussed as follows. Now table number 1, that is mainly helps in identification of the table as well as provides a reference. Now title for the table. Under the table, what we will give? A title for the table. What are we discussing in that table? We will give the title. A title that should be specific in nature and should in short reflect what the table is about. Obviously, we should give in a short form. Short form in the sense short and specific heading. Now captions and stubs are the third one. The headings given for columns are termed as captions, whereas stubs are the heading that are given to the rows. These again need to be concise and self-explanatory, obviously. Now next will be body of the table, main part of the table that reflects the numerical information that is collected based on the data collection and classified based on the captions and stubs. Then head note, fifth one, which could be written in extreme right below the title, and these provide information about units of measurement. I'll show you the table also, you will get a clear idea. Then the sixth one is footnote, written below the table and may display crucial information about the information given in the captions and stubs. That means clarity about the short specific headlines which are given, headings are given. Now source of data, the source of data can then be mentioned below the table where this source has come. You can see the picture here. A table thus prepared is given below. Heading, main table heading is given percentage of male and female students based on marks obtained by them in a test. Then given the marks obtained, a test. Then subheading is given here, then gender is the caption heading, and then again under gender we have given males and then females, that becomes again the caption here. Then below the table given the footnote, that body of that is the intervals and the percentages are given here. You can see intervals and the percentages are given, that's the body of the table. And then comes the footnote, that is number of students is in terms of percentage. Then source, from where we have taken that data collected from the term and examination results. So this is about the table, tabulation. Then organization. When a set of data contains only a few entries, a simple listing of the observations might be sufficient for interpreting the data. But usually in our schools, what happens here? The number of children in a class is large, so the simple listing of the observation may not be sufficient for the interpretation of data pertaining to the entire class. In that case, what do you do? Here the data are usually organized into groups called classes and presented in a table which gives the number of observation in each group, obviously. Now such a table gives a better overall view of the distribution of data and enables one to rapidly assess important characteristics of the data, obviously. Now let's see the example here. For example, a test of 35 marks is administered on a class of 30 students and the marks obtained by these students are as listed below in the table. Row data is given here. In a row, data is presented here. So that data, what we have done here, marks arranged in a tabular form. Marks 31 to 36, then 25 to 30. In between, how many students? Number of students, 31 to 36, 1 student. 25 to 30, 2 students. Like that here given, that is total number of 30 students. Now that's the presentation. Now graphical representation of quantitative data here. The data which has been shown in the tabular form may be displayed in pictorial form by using a graph. Obviously clearly we can understand what is the range of that particular data. A well constructed graphical representation is the easiest way to depict a given set of data. We can compare also easily. Then here only a few of the standard graphic forms of representing the data are being discussed as listed below. There may be many, but here I have given a few. That is, first histogram, second bar diagram or bar graph, third frequency polygon, fourth cumulative frequency curve or ogive. Let's quickly have a look at these diagrams. What are they? The histogram, first one, the most common form of graphical presentation of data is histogram. For plotting a histogram, one has to take a graph paper. Obviously, the values of the variable are taken on the horizontal axis, scale known as x-axis, and the frequencies are taken on the vertical axis, that is or scale known as the y-axis. You can see here histogram, x-axis and y-axis and x-axis. Those boxes are the data where they lie upon. That this is called histogram. We can show them easily. We can take it a particular student's graph, histogram, or the whole classes, maybe 5th class to 7th class, like that. We can see the difference of the performance or achievement, whatever we want to see. Now, then the bar diagram or bar graph. If the variable is discrete, then a histogram cannot be constructed as the classes are not comparable in terms of magnitude. So in that case, what do we do? A simple graphical presentation quite similar to histogram known as bar graph may be constructed. Here you can see the comparison also is given, that is category 1 here given that bar graph, then category 2, category 3, like that we can give easily the comparison also done through this bar graph. The third one is frequency polygon. In the case of a frequency polygon, one has to indicate the midpoints of the class interval on the horizontal axis instead of indicating the boundaries of the midpoint of the intervals just before the lowest interval and just after the highest interval are also to be indicated here. Now by taking the midpoints one by one, the points above them are to be plotted corresponding to the frequencies of the intervals. In case of the two additional midpoints, the frequency being 0, the points to be plotted are x-axis itself. Now the adjoining points so plotted are to be joined by straight line segments. You can see here frequency polygon, here the y-axis frequency and axis scores are given between how many students have scored. You can see easily test scores, what is the graph of them, how they are going above and falling down, or how many are in average, like that we can see through this frequency polygon. The fourth one is cumulative frequency curve or ogive. For plotting a cumulative frequency curve or ogive, first of all cumulative frequencies against each of the intervals are to be written. The difference between the construction of the frequency polygon and ogive is that the frequency polygon, one takes the midpoints of the class interval on horizontal axis, while for ogive, one takes the upper boundary of the class interval on horizontal x-axis. Both will be horizontal only, midpoint and upper value. Now the only difference between the cumulative frequency curve and ogive is that for cumulative frequency curve on vertical axis we take cumulative frequencies, while in case of ogive we also have to take cumulative percentages. You can see the cumulative frequency curve or ogive here. Clearly it indicates cumulative frequencies on the y-axis it is given, and then marks here. You can see an ogive curve here, less than cumulative or the frequency curve we can see over here. So this is all about the tabulation, organization and graphical representation of the data. I'll come up with the next class with the next video. If you like the video, please do like, share, subscribe and comment below. Thanks for your attention and time. Happy learning.